Welcome back to Switzer. Peter Thornhill is a legend of the financial sector, has been a big advocate of buying quality companies, especially for their dividends. Against him are those experts who say a buy or and hold strategy doesn't work. So let's see what Peter would say to his critics. He's the author of a book called Motivated Money. Hello, Pete.
Hi, Peter.
Now, I know you like to take on the industry gurus who differ with you. Buy and hold, is it a legitimate strategy for a person who wants to build wealth?
It is a legitimate strategy, and I have to say it's not slavish buy and hold. So, for example, when Qantas slashed its dividend, I'd been a Qantas shareholder for some time. Yeah. I'm not going to hang around and wait for some reward further down the road.
Like a surprise capital gain, which actually did happen, but still,
yeah, but
that's not your strategy.
But the cash flow disappeared, yeah. So I can find other companies to replace it. So it is not an absolute unchallenged buy and hold. Yeah. There is sensible rearrangement. Okay.
Let's put people. You were a fund manager. You've been a lecturer to financial planners over the years and all that sort of stuff. And you've been a strong advocate of buying dividend-paying stocks, build them all up. And you actually were pretty anti-property as well. But you have got a nice collection of dividend shares, haven't you?
I certainly have.
Okay. Let's go to your first chart. It makes a lot of your points. Let's have a look at that one right now. So what are we looking at, Pete?
Okay, what we've got here are two income streams from two assets that for most people are at totally opposite ends of the spectrum. Yeah. So the red bars in that example are the interest payments you would have received over the last 35 years on a term deposit of $100,000 that was just rolled over every year.
Safely.
Safe, very safe, very safe.
But not rewardingly.
Not rewarding, but safe. Yeah. And so you spent the income every year and simply rolled it over. Yep. So those red bars effectively reflect the interest rates that have prevailed in Australia for that 35-year period.
Good.
The contrast are the yellow bars. They are the dividends you would have received if you'd taken the same amount of money and dropped it into a basket of industrial companies and basically left it there for the 35 years. So I've used an index to avoid, favouring one share or another. It's an index. So this is the amalgam of Australian industrial companies over that 35-year period.
So damn pity there's not an ETF that does that at this point in time, is there?
No, it is. There is a listed investment company that I have discovered, which actually is pure industrial, which is unusual because most of the big licks are, they've got...
Do you want to name that company?
It's Whitefield.
Yeah, okay.
It's a relatively small one, but it is pure industrials, no resources at all.
We must get the CEO on the show. All right, so you made the point.
Yep.
And so for those people who say, oh, but I don't want to be in the stock market, it's too dangerous. What would you say to them?
I'd say that ignorance, fear is based on ignorance.
Okay.
And I come up against this all the time. People are frightened of the market because it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. Yeah. They tend, and that's the thing that's reported most. Yeah. I mean, day by day by day. Yeah. So you are constantly being poked and prodded about the movements in the share prices. Very little coverage is ever given to the cash flow or the dividend stream.
And we'll get to the second. Let's go to your next chart.
Yeah.
Okay. And we should say that you're a great advocate of having stocks that pay dividends, but you also create a cash buffer for those bad years in case you have to top up your dividends.
That's right.
Okay, here we go again.
Okay, the second chart, the right-hand scale relates to the value of the two investments. So the horizontal red line at the bottom is the 100,000 term deposit, which has basically paid you every year those interest payments. Yeah. The contrast again is the industrials, where the white line is the value of the index, which has paid you every year those yellow bars in dividends. And in addition, 35 years later, your capital is worth nearly 18 times the original investment.
So the $100,000 became?
1.8 million.
Okay. And what did the capital on your term deposit end up being?
It was a very safe $100,000, exactly where it started.
Okay, right. So I guess, but some people say, but some companies disappear. How do you avoid companies that disappear?
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. And this is where you have to accept that business is fundamentally risky. Yeah. But this is what makes it...
How many companies do you hold in your portfolio?
Well, we've got 4 listed investment companies as a core, so they probably hold about 120 80 to 120 each, and then around that there are another probably 40 individual shareholdings, which stupidly replicate many of the holdings in the listed investment companies. But my rationale for that is that when you take the tiny costs associated with the LICs, you know, we're talking about MERs of 0.12.
Yeah.
The overall portfolio has an MER of diddly squat.
I have about 20 odd stocks, but I also buy ETFs. I make the same mistake as you, but still, it's what I want to do.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
All right, let's go to your next chart.
Okay.
This is an example you've got here, right?
It is, and this was why I still kneel by my bed at night and pray for another global financial crisis.
That's something my viewers were going.
I know, it's counterintuitive.
Okay, but tell them what.
Basically, during the global financial crisis, credit markets around the world locked up. Banks wouldn't even lend to other banks because no one knew when the next Lehman's was going to appear.
Yeah.
So companies, to raise capital, to get them through this tough period, came back to shareholders with rights issues and share purchase plans. CBA is a classic example, one of many.
Bucks.
Commonwealth Bank came back to shareholders with an offer of shares at $26. They'd fallen from over 60.
Yeah.
The dividends that we've received since
then,
we bought those $26 CBA shares have paid us back over $20. We've had 78% of the purchase price returned already.
Yep.
In addition to that, the shares are now worth over 3 times the amount paid. The last dividend was over $4.
Yep.
And so we're sitting on a current yield of 16%.
You unlucky so-and-so. Let's go to the next one now.
Yep. Okay. I can remember watching your program
I had some on this
property.
show.
Yep. And the guy said, and I think the numbers are roughly around, he bought an investment property in the global financial crisis for about 1.8 million. I think it spent about 800,000 on it. And it was now valued at 3.5 million. And this is how you make $1 million. Now, my earlier example of CBA through the GFC is a huge yawn because people are impressed by big numbers. I've talked about, you know, $26 up to about $80, blah, blah.
Yeah, it got to 86, 90.
Not over $90.
Yes, right.
Yeah, but everyone yawns.
Yeah.
What they want to know is, what are the big numbers?
Yeah.
So what I've done here is I've done exactly what that guy did during the global financial crisis.
So you're showing off, eh?
But I bought $1.8 million worth of CBA. The total dividends paid are 1.4 million. I'd love to see what his rent was.
Yes, good point.
Okay? 78% of the purchase price of those shares has been returned. The shares are now worth 5.4 million. His property's only worth 3.5.
Yeah.
The last dividend was over $250,000 with it on a current yield of 16 and the franking credit of $123,000 on top of the dividend.
And the question you have to ask yourself is a property on the Gold Coast as secure as a CBA?
Well, no,
that's
I mean, CBA is a share. It's got to be risky. Property doesn't go.
No, Gold Coast properties don't fall by 20 or 40%.
Yeah.
All right, Peter, we are out of time. If people want, your book has all this, doesn't it? Motivated Money.
Yes.
Is there a website?
There is. Motivatedmoney.com.
Gee, I'm surprised you'd say that. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Thanks, Peter.
Okay, pretty good lesson, I think, for all of us out there. So that's the show for the night. Thanks for joining us. Tomorrow night, I've got Scott Morrison on the program, and apart from being a fairly significant minister on the way up, he once upon a time was an economics student of P. Switzer. See you tomorrow night.